Well, folks, we're starting a brand new Ask the Zamboni Experts podcast, and myself, Marty Elliott, I'm hosting the event today, and we have a special guest involved, Justin Fidler from the Middlesex Centre here in Ontario, and also Dillon Learn, who is the Chief Engineer and Special Projects Manager for Budweiser Gardens, the home of the London Knights here in London, Ontario. And the topic we're going to discuss today is the level ice laser system. And I certainly know these gentlemen have had their hands on the system both as operators and in a managerial role. But before I get further into this, let's take an opportunity to introduce our guests. Justin Fidler from Middlesex Centre. Justin, take it away. Give us a little bit of information about your background and where you're working out of.
Thanks, Marty. I have been involved in the rink industry since probably going on 24 years now, starting in a small community rink in Bruce County, moving on to the city of Owen Sound, and then making my way down to southwestern Ontario. Currently, I am facility services with the municipality of Middlesex Centre, 2 ice rinks, and then obviously multiple other buildings throughout the municipality, everything from standalone community centers, fire halls, OPP stations, public works buildings that we take care of facility services for. With that, I look after a team of full-time operations and also part-time operators. And ice quality is one that we are measured upon on a regular basis. And then as part of my role as well is utilities and gaining control and monitoring of utilities. So
Great.
Efficiencies are continued each and every day.
Fantastic. So how many sheets do you actually manage, Justin?
3 sheets, 2 in one location and a single pad in a second location, both with level ice.
Fantastic. Are they multi-use facilities outside of ice rinks?
The Ilderton Arena is multi-use in the sense multi-ice sport in that it is curling and hockey, 2 separate pads. And then the Komoka Wellness Center, multi-purpose in multiple other facets throughout the building with gymnasiums and workout areas, but dedicated ice only for the actual ice surface itself.
Right. Fantastic. How about yourself, Dillon? We got Dillon Learn, Chief Engineer and Special Projects Manager from Budweiser Gardens here in London, Ontario. Dillon, give us a little bit of a history of yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Marty. I've been in the industry, I want to say, this will be my 16th season. I started when I was roughly 19 out in the town of Elmer. I actually started as a rink rat, a net mover kid, and 3 months later I got promoted to being a part-time operator. I did, I want to say, a 6-year stint out there. I bounced around like the town of Tillsonburg. I worked part-time out there. I worked at the Western Fair here in London for a bit. Full-time in Strathroy for 4 or 5 years. I've been at Budweiser Gardens as like a part-time ZAM driver since 2010. Currently, my new role, I took over for actually Justin in November 2018. Been lucky to work with some of the people in this industry that I have worked with. And I didn't think I'd be doing my position that I am now when I first started driving the Zamboni. And here at Budweiser Gardens, like our ice quality has to be perfect. Our London Knights play fast hockey, so we strive to be the best.
Right. Do you find a lot of pressure from the club and maintaining that quality of ice in day out they expect?
Not really, no. Not so much pressure. I love what I do. I want to be the best. So I work pretty hard at trying to get it where it needs to be for the boys to play. And I would like to think, a pretty good line of communication with the team. So if it's not good, they let me know. And if it's good, they let me know. So it's a pretty good 2-way street. So, yeah. Sure.
How many operators work out of your facility, Dillon?
I got 1 full-time guy that works with me, and I want to say 4 or 5 part-time Zamboni drivers. I also work with a operations crew who also converts the building too, which is fun too for them. They do a great job.
Right. Fantastic. All right. Well, listen, let's talk a little bit about level ice. Hence why we're here today. What have you found, Justin, since you had your hands on the level ice system, both as an operator and in a managerial role? What's been the biggest game changer for you?
I would have to say you come back to, as a facility manager, I saw the firsthand the utility savings through reduced refrigeration plant run times. That was every location I've been to. That has always been a constant whenever level ice has been implemented, that you immediately saw reduced run times on the equipment, which translates into reduced utility and those costs in today's energy market. Unfortunately, utilities seem to be continually going up and is a major financial component of the ice rink industry. So if you can do your part in that and reduce it, it adds more money to your bottom line on your operational side. From an operator standpoint, I'm going to say the ease of which they can effectively do ice maintenance and the reduced time they're having to spend on the ice, whether it's daily, whether it's once every 2 days, once a week, they're able to put out and feel proud about the level ice sheet they're putting out, while at the same time knowing when they turn a rink over to a part-time operator that's coming in to operate the ice resurfacer for a shift, that when they come back in the morning, they're going to feel very confident that they're not coming back into a 1/4 inch of ice being taken off the pad the night before, and or, oh my God, we got super bright lines now because we've hit the goal crease at the one end.
So what you're referring to there, Justin, is operators traditionally using the hand wheel. Is that what you're referring to?
100%. In using the hand wheel, I think anybody that's been in the business for quite some time can all relate to the horror stories of a part-time operator or even a full-time operator coming to the supervisor and goes, yeah, I got this red tinge in the snow. I don't know what it's from, or blue tinge. And sure enough, you go out, look at the rink, and you see a swath of missing a line or a crease. So I think it has provided that reassurance that as we strive to maintain a professional facility, not just whether it's Budweiser Gardens or the NHL level, but even as a municipal facility, a community rink, no longer are we have to think of them as facility operators. You know what? They are a professional operator. So the more tools you can give them to be professional and put a professional product on the ice, and level ice is one way to do that. You know what? You are giving them the tool and the equipment and the knowledge and training component as well. They're putting out there the best sheet possible that they can.
Right. So on the other side of the coin, what are some of the challenges you've seen with your operators using level ice when it comes to consistency or training? Have you identified some of the challenges that they've shared with you?
Yeah, you know what, the challenges in every facility is going to be different. Every facility operator is going to be different. I'm going to say some challenges that I have faced over the years would be operator knowledge and or comfort level with the system. You know what, the operator that has 20 plus years experience with the hand wheel is there's going to be somewhat of a reluctance there to what are they doing with their hand now? They need something to rest that hand on. If we could put a fake wheel up there that they could still spin, that'd solve the issue altogether. But we also have to take into account the part-time operator doing one shift every 3 or 4 weeks. There's a training component that has to go with it, and trying to get them to remember it as well. Coming, you know, and that knowledge of how everything, the correlation of how it all works from the benchmark to what the reading is on the screen to how it corresponds to where the blade is cutting and how much snow is coming off the ice. So as far as the end user, the participants that are playing on the ice, they don't really care about the background. They don't really care about one operator versus another. And at the end of the day, as a facility professional, we have to put the best product on the ice.
Great. Yeah. I mean, I didn't share with you guys, and I know you know this, but for our audience that would be listening in, my experience with Level Ice started back in 2012 with the actual manufacturer, Latex Instruments, out of Exeter, Ontario. And what you're speaking to, as far as some of the challenges, Justin, and I'll get Dillon to weigh in on this as well, is experienced operators going from a typical hand wheel to Level Ice, and then also the training aspect. Over the last 8 years, I've identified training to be one of the biggest, how would I put this, perhaps miscommunicated or lack of understanding. So can't say enough to training. I'm sure you guys feel the same. Making sure that training is taken to the level of expectation from an operational standpoint on all components with the Level Ice system, and definitely.
Hey, Marty, also. Yeah. On the flip side, with facilities that, and I'll speak for experience here, and I know Budweiser Gardens is exactly the same in that they have one machine. Their primary machine has Level Ice. The secondary / backup machine is hand wheel. You have new operators coming into the game that have never been trained on a hand wheel. So we have that on numerous times where we may have conflicting floods, so we get our backup machine out and it's a hand wheel. And I have operators that have been in the business for 3 or 4 years, and or a new part-time operator that looks at that hand wheel and just cannot grasp the concept of a hand wheel because they've been so fully trained. They're an expert on, or I wouldn't say expert, but they have full comprehension and full grasp of the Level Ice. But now you're putting them onto a machine with a hand wheel. So that, you know, that is a challenge that I am faced with as well. And it's not a challenge that is, it's been brought upon by not having Level Ice on both machines, but unfortunately our municipal budget does not account for it until we go forward with the new machine next month.
Right.
So.
Right. Hey, Dillon, let's bring you in on this topic here. How long have you been using the Level Ice system? I think you mentioned it earlier in our conversation, but let's come back to that. How long have you been hands-on with Level Ice?
I've been hands-on, I want to say, better part of 10 years when I had out in Elmer. Yeah, unfortunately, it was with your competitor, and it was, I want to say, I'm going to call it the old system is where I started it, but I do, if that makes sense, like the old programming of the Level Ice computer. Since then, I've come well-rounded with the new programming of that too. So,
and how can you share with us? Share with us the from the operator side, them adapting to the system, coming from traditional hand wheel to a Level Ice system. What have you experienced?
With my guys at Bud, I train them on the Level Ice first, so the confidence is there. I always trust them. But for personal experience, going from the wheel to the Level Ice, to be honest with you, at first I was like one of the old boys and was like, no, I'm not a fan of this. But then once you get to know it and actually wrap your head around it, it's tenfold. It's super easy. It's super smart, and it's just the training side of things, going from the hand crank to the Level Ice. That's why I train my guys on the Level Ice first, basically so they can get confidence in themselves. Because like Justin said, new operators are, we'll say, timid of the hand crank and they're scared. I'm assuming just because it's not, they don't understand it. But if you take the time to coach an operator in the Level Ice, I can then leave my day knowing that everything's under control and I'm not going to come into blue paint in the snow pit or red paint, because Budweiser Gardens is a fast building and I have to have ice in order to do what I need to do here, right?
Right. Well, let me ask you, with your position at Budweiser Gardens, that's a conversion facility, a stadium facility hosting a lot of non-ice events. Has level ice made a big difference, Dillon, in the conversions going from non-ice to ice and vice versa? Can you speak to that?
Uh, yeah, has it made a huge difference? I would say yes, because I like to take ice measurements all the time. And if I don't have a quick chip, say, for example, if on a Wednesday there's a conversion and I don't have, the operator didn't do measurements, and I can just ask him, what does the level ice say? And it'll say like 1.35. And then in my head, I can reference, okay, I know I'm good going into this weekend of conversions and hockey games, when in the past I've seen going into the game, like games, because we just had the hand cranks at like a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch. And to me, like, that's not in my stay here. That was just previous, where in my mind, it's a scary thought. And I don't want to go into a weekend of 2 OHL hockey games and conversions at a 3/4 of an inch of ice or a half-inch ice. I know with the level ice, I set it. I'm fairly close to where I need to be, and it's just a confidence thing for myself and in the building. It just helps the guys run smoother. It helps everything run smoother. There's not much of a worry. And the conversion guys, they're good with it. They know where it is. They're mindful of it, and yeah.
Fantastic. What about, let's talk a little bit about the system itself and how it's, from an economical standpoint. I know Justin had touched base on this. What have you seen, Dillon, as far as operational costs in reference to your plant not working as hard to maintain surface temp? Can you speak to that topic?
Yeah, I know, like, our plant doesn't run as often because our ice thickness is perfect, and we have the fast ice system as well, so it's like flash freeze. It's great. One of the biggest game changers I find in our building is how level, I'm going to say level, it helps me with the ice, right? Yes, I still do ice maintenance, but it's like, this is a fast facility. It keeps it within, that's the biggest game changer for me. The level ice helps me keep it in the parameters that I require myself to keep it in for an OHL game, right?
Yeah, how many, as I was asking Dillon, how many conversions within a month would you be doing between ice and non-ice?
That's event-based and based on what the load of the facility is. But in the past, there's times where, I don't know, in my experience here at Budweiser has been, we've had 12 events in 13 days or 10 events in 12 days, going from concert to another basketball game to a hockey game. So it varies based on month to month or week to week. But any, like a heavy weekend would be like a regular ice rental night Wednesday converted to a basketball game, converted back to an OHL game, converted back to a concert, back to a Sunday hockey game. So it's a pretty quick facility. So
the lights never turn off in your facility.
Yeah, that's a good thing, though. That's a good thing.
Yep,
it's
definitely. What about ice maintenance?
It's a fun to work at.
Yeah. What about ice maintenance? Have you guys, maybe I can get Justin to speak to this, as far as reduced ice maintenance that you would normally, or a typical facility would have to apply in a weekly basis?
Yeah, so in the our municipal setting here, Marty, prior to level ice, you would be, and I know we get to it later on as well, but edging, whether it would be a daily edge or a twice daily edge, we've been able to reduce that. And then the actual going out, the traditional days of a whole day being set aside for ice maintenance is a thing of the past. No longer are we going out to spend 4 or 5 hours of wear and tear on the machine and shave corners. That is gone. It's each and every flood. So my philosophy is each and every ice resurfacing that you're doing is your ice maintenance. So you're doing your 9.5 to 10 minute ice maintenance each and every flood that you do. And the level ice is tweaked to allowing us to maintain a consistent level that we have set as a standard for our building. Each and every building is going to be different, but we have chosen 1.25 inches that we're trying to maintain above the highest spot. So due to the uneven floor, there will be areas that may be 1 3/8 inches, 1.5 inches. But we know and we're well assured that through proper benchmarking that we have a minimum of 1.25 inches of ice throughout the entire ice sheet. And that goes hand in hand with the corners as well. No longer are we 2 inches in the corner, and I'm just speaking when I say we, just a traditional, in the past, I go back to the 80s and 90s where I myself as an operator would spend an entire day shaving corners once a week. That was the daily thing.
Right. Well, you touched on a topic, and I know we're going to have it in a future podcast, but I will let me speak to what you're referring to as far as shaving the corners, or as we refer to in the industry, edging. The one thing I can't stress enough to facilities when they bring level ice in, that is something that never stops. I know you and Dillon can speak to this as well. But your edging, if it's done properly, you're doing a light edge, and what should be done anyways on a daily basis. So that's what you were traditionally referring to, back in the 80s and 90s. Justin, you are old. Sorry, I had to say that. Anyways, it's not getting out of hand, which used to be the case, and now with post level ice in the marketplace, it's easier to maintain your corners. How's that for you, Dillon? Are you finding the same thing as what I'm speaking to?
Yeah, I find it helps. The level ice definitely helps keep the sheet a lot level. I still do. I'm always on the ice. I'm hands on. I want it to be perfect. So I hold roughly, I want to say anywhere between 1.45 to 1.5 inches of ice, is based on how fast the facility is. Because in a weekend we could lose 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch ice just in hockey games. That's not even including conversions, how we have to clean up after that. Yeah, it helps reduce the time of ice maintenance, but I'm also on there a lot anyway. So like Justin said, I use the floods to as ice maintenance as well, between the load on the ice and off the ice. But what I really like about it is, because Budweiser is an event-based facility and different thicknesses are required for different events. So if I wanted a figure skating event comes in and they need thicker ice, I can just bump up the set point on the laser, and now I'm building ice, right? And then if I need to cut it down quickly to 1.5 inches, and I put it at 1.5, and it'll just bring it right back down to where I need it to be. So it's convenient that way too, and you just know that you've hit the marks, because shows coming in, say an ice event, they require a certain thickness, and they ask for that. They ask, have you hit the thickness? Yes, I have. And you're confident in what you're doing with the system, right?
Right. So one of the things you guys both have touched base on is with level ice is your equipment and efficiencies of your equipment. Have you noticed a difference in how often you or your operators are making blade changes and having to sharpen the blades? Is there a cost efficiency having level ice when it comes to blade change and sharpening of blades, or any other equipment savings that you've recognized over the years? Dillon?
And if it's our facility, we change it roughly every 10 days. It depends on how, if we have 3 London Nights games, like Tuesday, Friday, Monday, or Sunday, then we change. I make sure they're sharp all the time. I can't say I have really noticed a lot there, unless because in the past that's what we were doing before. Yeah, but what we do is the Conti blade change. I have that here too, and that's just tenfold. Yeah.
Great lead into a subject for a future podcast. I know we'll be speaking to our other products that we offer to our customer base, and definitely that'll be one of the blade changing unit. And I know you both are familiar with it. How about yourself, Justin? From a municipal standpoint, have you seen any difference in operating costs when it comes to the equipment, blade changes, sharpenings, things like that?
Obviously, not having to do that 4 or 5 hour ice maintenance duration during the week has assured us that we're still changing the blades on a weekly basis, but knowing that at the end of that 7th day that the blade is still somewhat sharp, so we're still able to put a professional product out through that. And we've tried going into that second week. We just find that it's easier to change it at the 7 days. And then from there, but you can look into the added equipment of the edging, the wear and tear in the edger, not having to shave, the wear and tear on the human body of the chipping, I'll say, or you taking the ice club out to go around the boards, the wear and tear on the refrigeration plant through utility savings, decreased runtime. So it all adds up to dollars and cents, and sometimes people don't take into fact the staff time. And I've heard over the years people say, "Well, the staff are there anyway, so that's not a viable figure you can reuse for budgetary reasons or a budget case study." I would have to disagree in that staff, even though they're there, if you can free them up on the ice surface or free them up with something else, they can be put towards, their time can be better served towards other maintenance tasks or other capital projects or other improvements throughout the municipality.
Fantastic. That's great feedback. So I think we just had one of our other guests. Unfortunately, they were in a meeting. They came on board. Have I got Randy Shaw in line?
Yes, you do, Marty.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. We have Randy Shaw. He's the manager of parks and facilities for Thedford, Ontario. Let's talk a little bit about you, Randy, while we have you on the line. How long have you been involved in the industry and your experience with Level Ice?
Sure, Marty. So I've been with Lambton Shores here for 16 years. In the industry, about 25 years. And with Level Ice, probably, close to 8 or 9 years anyway, at least, Marty.
Fantastic. And as far as your hands on Level Ice, you've been using it, say, 8 or 9 years?
Yeah, the last few years, I've been in the management role, so I've been kind of back a bit from the whole hands-on experience, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm dealing with my staff who are dealing with it. But before that, I worked with the city of Sarnia and with Lambton Shores a little bit, driving the machines and using Level Ice.
Right. What have your operators said about the Level Ice system, both down in Sarnia and in your neck of the woods now, as far as them adapting to it from going traditional hand crank, which of course that's a standard piece of equipment, to Level Ice? What have your operators shared with you about it, Randy?
They love it. Where I am now with Lambton Shores, we have a young staff, so it goes without saying that it's easier to train them on a newer system, and it's very user friendly, especially for training some of the new staff. They find it very easy to deal with. As for the hand crank, it's almost like the old school guys kind of thing, right? It took them a little longer to catch on to the system, but once everyone was trained on it and got used to it, that was the big thing, and they love it.
Right. And now that you've been in a managerial role for the past little while, of course you're responsible for your operational costs. Have you seen a big difference post installation of Level Ice when it comes to operating costs of your facilities? Operating
costs, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I can't really comment a whole lot on the cost, but I know our compressors are running a lot less. It's, we're able to run our ice a little bit thinner, and it's easier to maintain at that. But our hours on our compressors are way down. That's for sure. Fantastic.
Well, I'm going to put this question out to all three of you as we come to an end of this podcast session, and I'll let each one of you answer this question. The question to you folks is, why do you have Level Ice, and why should you have Level Ice? Justin, can you speak to that?
Sure can. Why do I have Level Ice? I would have to say that as a facility manager looking to find ways to raise the bar, find ways to reduce expenses, find ways to create more energy efficiencies throughout the building and efficiencies throughout the operation. That is one thing that I have put a lot of research into, and also working with the partners such as Zamboni, was able to come up with a solution and a game plan that worked to install on our ice resurfacers that met all the criteria that I was looking for to raise the bar, elevate our efficiencies, and create a better product. It hit the mark for us, so we had to put it in. It was a no-brainer at the end of the day when you do the cost analysis on it and the savings that we were looking at. I don't have the study right in front of me, but the previous study I did on a cost analysis, and it was a less than a 2-year payback. So it made great sense.
That's interesting. That's interesting. How about yourself, Dillon?
Yeah, Wyatt, it's been one of the greatest tools I've learned in my stint in the industry. Especially at Budweiser Gardens, we strive to provide the best product, and the level ice helps me provide the best product for our building, and it has to be perfect because we have Olympic skaters on our sheet. NHL superstars come here and skate too, right? So it really is a great tool for me to implement, and also to work with you, Marty, and Zamboni to actually finish up what Justin started here and be part of the double laser inboard system we have going on Budweiser. It's a little different than municipal setting ones, and it also gives me the confidence when I leave work at the end of the day that my operators that I've trained on are confident, and I know I'm going to have enough ice to do what I need to do over the weekend or to be there for the OHL or the NHL guys, right?
Right. How about yourself, Randy?
Yeah, those are all good points. When it comes to energy efficiency, creating a good product, those are all great things. And I'm sure you guys have talked about it before I came on board here, but another thing is liability. And I'm sure all over Ontario, a lot of these rinks have floors that are heaving in spots and not completely level, and having level ice allows us to, have a uniform thickness of ice and where it needs to be at a safe level. And that way, it's safer for our users, and it's a liability issue that it's something everyone worries about, right? So it's really helped us in that regard as well.
That's great. Thanks, Randy, for sharing that with us. That's definitely from a liability standpoint. Even though you still do your drill checks, it does give you more confidence with the level ice system, because you can benchmark off your high spot of an uneven subfloor to be able to maintain the proper thickness of ice. Well, gentlemen, I want to say thank you very kindly for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come on board and share your experiences with the level ice laser system. Wish you guys all the best. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next Ask the Zamboni Experts podcast. So on that note, gentlemen, have a wonderful day. Thank you very kindly again. And when this is all over, I look forward to seeing you guys face to face in the near future. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.